Good morning, Healdsburg Sunrise.
Good morning.
Good morning, President Lance.
Good morning.
All right, thanks all for coming. Start off the day with an inspiration, and today I believe that would be Brad Benson.
Yeah, I got this one via one of the Student Association sponsors. She included this with the list of students who will be our officers next school year. Here it goes. It's by an unknown author. Great leaders don't set out to be leaders. They set out to make a difference. It's never about the role, it's about the goal.
Cool. Nice. I like it. All right. So as you know, we've been running these meetings sort of flipped, so we're going to jump into the the program part of the meeting right off the bat, and then we'll come back to club business. So Colleen, would you like to introduce our speaker for today?
I will. And Ariel, I wanted you to know that there has been no other time I've showed up for the meeting with my face.
On.
That's
I
how
feel
high of
so
esteem,
honored.
That's how high of esteem I hold you. And I actually got up and put makeup on. I didn't do my hair, but you're welcome. Anyways, Ariel, I don't have your bio, but I just want everyone to know, Ariel is just an exceptional human being. She is the CEO of Corazón, and I've worked with her closely because of our association between Reach for Home and Corazón. But she's just one of those people. She's exactly what Brad said, a natural leader. When she sees something that needs to be done, she does it. She doesn't stop. She just figures out ways in every instance to see what will best serve the community. And she is also running for city council. So it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Ariel Kelley, and she can give you some of the formal details of her, but that is who she is to me. So take it away, my love.
Thank you, Colleen. And I'm so glad you're wearing my favorite color, and I'm so glad that you were able to join us on video this morning. So I'm gonna turn on my screen share and get my slides up. So give me just a second, making sure that everybody can see that. And then we'll get going. So thank you so much for inviting me and inviting me to share a little bit more about Corazón and what we are doing right now during the pandemic. Are you guys able to see my presentation?
Yes. Looks good.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So as Colleen mentioned, I'm the CEO of Corazón. Corazón means heart in Spanish. And we were founded back in 2011, but really formally launched in Healdsburg in 2016 and have been around for the last 3 years running programs and operating out of the Healdsburg Community Center in Healdsburg. Our mission is to bridge the racial and economic divide in Northern Sonoma County, and we really are focused around multi-generational programming to end cycles of poverty. And we do that through kind of 3 focus areas: building community, raising the voice, and building a platform for the Latino community, and then through our Family Resource Center, which is like the hub of what we do. So I wanted to report back to you on one of our first programs that I believe I've actually presented to your Rotary group about back in 2017. So one of our first programs was the Moms to Moms Prenatal Education Program that we started in partnership with Alliance Medical Center. And Alliance approached Corazón asking, they have a very high number of pregnant patients, but very few patients were enrolling in their prenatal education classes. And the prenatal education classes are really important for maternal health and also just creating a really solid foundation to bring little ones into the community. And so we started a program where we do a group baby shower for the women when they complete their program, and people donate gifts, people purchase gifts off our gift registry, and then the community comes together and we have volunteers throw these baby showers 5 times a year. One of the data points that really helped underscore why we wanted to start with this type of program was looking at the vital statistics data from Sonoma County. So we have, as a county, we have actually a really great amount of data that exists around a number of things. The county is really great at collecting data. I wouldn't say they're so great on acting on it, but they've got the data, in front of them. So we were able to rely on vital statistics and look at the Medi-Cal birth rate in our community to determine if this was an area where we felt like a program was needed. And what we found out was actually pretty surprising, and surprised a lot of people, that Healdsburg specifically has the second highest rate of Medi-Cal births in Sonoma County. So what that means is we have almost as many children being born into poverty than any other community in our county. And so I think when you look at some of our census data and you look at population data on the whole for Healdsburg, it looks like there is, a lot of people living in moderate to high affluence. But the reality is for our youngest residents, for our babies, the majority are being born into poverty. And so what that meant for us was that was an area in the time span of from the moment you're born to when you pass on, that would be an area where we could focus some attention on working to alleviate some of the major impacts of poverty. So what are we doing now with Moms to Moms during COVID? So we are not doing group baby showers, but the moms are still getting their prenatal education, because there's one thing about a pandemic, life still continues on. So people are still bringing newborns home. And so we canceled our in-person baby shower that was to take place a couple weeks ago. And instead, we are celebrating these 10 families, delivering gifts to them and delivering a warm meal. And also the moms are continuing with their prenatal education classes online or over the phone with Alliance Medical Center staff. And we have an online gift registry, so people in the community are able to go online and buy gifts, diapers, thermometers, first aid kits, all the little knickknacks that you need when you bring a little one home. So this has meant a lot for these families, where we're delivering gifts to them and making sure that they still feel like there's a community there to support them, even in this time of extreme crisis. So another one of our focus areas are our adult education programs. And we offer English as a second language, GED classes, computer skills, and then some workforce classes as well. Right now we're running a series of early childhood workforce classes for people in the community who want to become either an in-home daycare provider and open their own daycare, or become a preschool teacher. And we have over 250 students per year taking classes in the daytime and in the evening. So this has grown pretty dramatically in scale since we started in 2017 with these classes. And most of the classes are either taught by Santa Rosa Junior College or Sonoma County Adult Ed. So we're partnering with other agencies who teach classes elsewhere, but delivering them in Healdsburg. And we provide free childcare. And a lot of the students that we actually recruit to join these classes, many of whom we be with us, and we met her at her baby shower. And the photo on the right is a group of some of our GED graduates who got their GEDs last year with us. So over the course of the last 2 months, we've had to shift our in-person classes to online. And for many of these students, this is their first time in an online environment. So you'll see in the photos that it looks a lot like this. We're on a Zoom meeting, and the ESL classes, the GED classes, the workforce and childcare classes are all taking place over Zoom live, and it's working. It took us some time to get people situated with devices. We are borrowing laptops from Santa Rosa Junior College and getting Wi-Fi hotspots to a lot of families who don't have at-home internet. This has been really beneficial for them because most of these families also have school-age kids. And so if the parents can't get online for their ESL class, the kids can't get online for their schoolwork either. So it's been helpful for all of them. And so we're going to continue over the summer. We have ESL and GED classes starting in June, and we will be running those classes over the summer. And then most likely staying online for the fall and staying in step with what Santa Rosa Junior College and Sonoma State and others are doing with mostly remote learning happening. We do have a couple first aid classes that involve CPR training and a couple others that really need to happen in person. And so we might do the online component of that and then do small group instruction for the CPR certification. But we've been really surprised at how many students we've been able to retain in our classes and stay online, especially with their kids being home from school, people's work schedules shifting, etc. But I feel like most of our students are pretty committed to these classes, and it's also a big sense of community for them. And so we're really happy to see that this has been successful. We also have our comité, which meets once a month. They are our community advisory council, and we've taken a pause on those meetings, but we're looking to try to get them up and online, hopefully this summer. And those meetings are convened in Spanish, and we do a lot of leadership development training, and they have some subcommittees. They have a housing subcommittee and an events, and also looking to do more community-based projects in the coming months. I think I've introduced the program, the Healdsburg Kinder to College Fund, to you all before. So this is our program that we started with the funds that we were gifted by Ellen DeGeneres after we opened the Free Store in 2017 after the Tubbs fire. And this program has now grown. So we are at Alexander Valley, Westside, and Geyserville, in addition to the Healdsburg Public Schools. And we open college savings accounts for every kindergartner in all of those schools, any kindergartner that wants one. And we received a grant from the state of California last year. We were really excited to see that the governor has put a lot of emphasis on programs like ours. We're actually the only rural program in the state of California. So we applied for a grant, and there were 9 applicants, including us. 8 of them were from LA, San Francisco, Oakland, you name it, Burbank. And so we were really excited to receive the grant. We received $110,000, which will fund the program for 3 years at least. And it's going to allow us to expand to those districts, and we're looking to expand to Cloverdale in the near future as well. And the program, every student gets $100 in their account when we establish it, and low-income families who are eligible for the free or reduced price lunch program get another $50. And then in first grade, we invite the families to open their own savings account, where we ask them to open an account. It's free, and we help them deposit $1 or $50. And when they open their account, we give them another $100 in their savings account that we manage. And then in second grade, we invite the families to make a reoccurring deposit, to set up a monthly deposit where they're transferring funds, whether it's a direct deposit from their paycheck or employer or a gift from grandma, but that they can do a monthly reoccurring contribution, and we match that up to $300 for second grade. And then in third grade, we have an attendance incentive. So for kids who attend third grade 95% or more of the year, which will be interesting in times of COVID, how we'll figure out attendance, we'll give them another $50 in third grade. So by the end of third grade, kids are eligible for up to $600, and that account is in their name. It's invested. It's a 529 college savings account. And then when they reach 12th grade and they decide what they want to do after high school, whether that's trade school, beauty school, construction trades, the junior college, four-year university, these funds are directed towards whatever their post-secondary educational goals are. And speaking of post-secondary educational goals, so this is our FirstGen College Counseling program. This program is now in its third year, and we just graduated our second class of seniors. They technically haven't graduated yet, but they're about to, and they've all decided where they're headed to college next year. So this specific program is just with Healdsburg High School, and we have 43 students in the program in this academic year. And it starts in 8th grade, where we identify students who are high achieving and who have career interests that involve a 4-year degree. And the criteria for the program is that you are from a low-income family and you're the first generation in your family to go to college. So it means your parents cannot have gone to college. And the idea is helping these students navigate the process so that they are able to apply and be accepted to a four-year university when they get to their senior year. So it's helping them figure out what classes to take and when during high school, SAT preparation, essay development preparation, studying for the AP exams, and then helping them with summer academic experiences so that they can travel to a college campus each summer and get that experience of being away from home. We also work with the parents. So we do 4 quarterly potlucks a year for all the families, and we have really high attendance with these, and including siblings and parents and aunts and uncles. And we host them at the community center where families can come and learn about what it means to go to college. They meet other graduates who come back and talk to the community, talk to parents who've sent their kids away and what that was feeling like. And then we do parent ed workshops, so specifically to work with the parents on how they can help support their kids, whether it's navigating the financial aid process, understanding the difference between loans and grants and scholarships, understanding the application process and the timeline and how it works. So really working with both the kids and their parents. I mentioned a minute ago our summer academic experiences. So one of the key areas of this program is working with students to identify what are some areas of career interest for them that they may want to study when they get to college, and helping to plug them in with academic programs on a college campus all over the country. So last summer, we sent 29 FirstGen students across the country. Some went to Indiana, South Dakota, a lot stayed in California, some were in Texas, all over the place, New Hampshire, and they get to live on a college campus in a dorm. They get on an airplane, they figure out how to budget their money for the week or month. And some of the programs are a week or 10 days. A couple of them are 1 month or 6 weeks long. And part of the experience is being on a college campus, living in a dorm, meeting kids from outside of this community, but also working with the parents. So parents feel comfortable putting their kids on a plane, often for the first time, and understanding what it means to have your kid be away from home for a little while. I'm happy to report that 100% of the kids made it back safely last summer. They all came back, and most of them were really looking forward to doing it again this summer. Unfortunately, a lot of these programs are now going online for the summer, so it's a very different experience than what they've done in years past. But it's also really great for kids to be able to put on their college applications and their resume, because for a lot of these students, in order for them to successfully get to college, they're going to need a lot of financial aid. And so when universities see that these kids have successfully gone to a college, been on an airplane before, done a program, completed it, it signals to those universities that these kids are serious and they're not going to drop out the week they get to school for fear that they've never been away from home before. And also it signals to them that these kids are academically serious as well, because most high schoolers do not want to spend part of their summer working in a biology lab on Stanford's campus or doing a photojournalism program in Indiana. So it's been a really great tool also to help these kids, grow their experience. So a lot of you may have heard about Corazón through our community events. We do a big Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead celebration every year. Last year's was postponed a little bit because of the Kincaid fire, but we were able to pull it off with huge thanks to our partners at the city of Healdsburg that we do this event with. And we are probably not going to be doing it in the same way this year that in years past, unfortunately. We'll have to see kind of what things look like at the end of October. But doing community events, bringing people together to learn cultural customs and build more of a mutual understanding of one another is a huge part of why we exist. We do other events that are meant to be community building, like our preschool fair, where we invite all members of the community from all walks of life to come and learn about the different early childhood education offerings that exist in Healdsburg, and also participating in community events like the FFA parade and others that unfortunately we'll be missing this month, but hopefully it will be rescheduled and postponed soon. So one of our other programs that I think, oh, I'm seeing a Sonoma Life newspaper from, I don't know, I'm getting a hand, okay. So one of our other programs that has been unfortunately very popular in the last few weeks is our Groceries to Go program. We started this a year ago, February, and it's a partnership with the Redwood Empire Food Bank. And we set it up at the community center, and when we do it typically on Tuesdays when our students are getting out of classes. So we usually have about 75 adult students that get out of class on Tuesdays at noon, either English class or computer class, and they'll grab groceries and head home. And these are meant to assist the community who might be struggling financially to afford food right now. We used to do the program twice a month, and it's open to anyone. So you can live in Cloverdale, you can live in Santa Rosa, but still be able to come to this program, which is really convenient because we know that over 5,000 people commute into Healdsburg every day who don't live here. So for those who are working but maybe not making enough at work to afford groceries, they can come on their lunch break and pick up produce and shelf-stable goods from our program. And it's run by Corazon staff. We also have an AmeriCorps service fellow that's with us who manages our volunteer program. So we have a group of great volunteers who help us every month with this program. Last year, we delivered over 100,000 pounds of food and served over 6,400 individuals in Healdsburg through this program. And we also have produce from the Farm to Pantry and Farm to Fight Hunger and eggs that get delivered from these two amazing local nonprofits that we partner with. So in March, we created, we asked Redwood Empire Food Bank to increase the amount of times we were doing the program. So we're now running it once a week and every Tuesday. And we changed it to a drive-through format so that people don't have to get out of their cars. The city staff in Healdsburg has been instrumental in helping us organize cars and kind of run a drive-through that has been very, very popular. We're seeing over 300 cars each week, and that equates to about 1,500 individuals every single week that we're providing produce and pantry items to. And then in addition, we've added a partnership with Sonoma Family Meal. And Sonoma Family Meal is a nonprofit that kind of pops up typically after disaster. They started in 2017 after the Tubbs fire, and then were very active after the Kincaid fire. And Sonoma Family Meal contracts with restaurants. So they pay restaurants to produce meals. So restaurant workers are still working, getting paid to produce meals that then get donated to us, and then we distribute them. So they come as cold meals that have already been cooked, like a big plate of lasagna or other things that you can reheat pretty easily. And we're getting over 350 meals for families of 4 each, so over 1,400 people each week from Sonoma Family Meal. And so in addition to giving out these food items, we're also distributing masks, especially to people who show up in the drive-thru who don't have masks on, giving them masks and making sure that they have what they need in terms of supplies so that they can go to work safely and be in the community. And then we're also talking to people about the 2020 census. So just a quick show of hands, how many people have completed their census? Raise your hand if you have completed your census. If you have not, it is not too late, but it would be very helpful to us and the broader community if you would go online to census.gov and complete your census. We are actively tracking the Healdsburg reporting rate for the census. And why does it matter to us? Well, the funds that go from the census count for schools, hospitals, healthcare, really important infrastructure projects that impact the community. For some folks, completing their census is really the only way that they're able to exercise kind of that power of making sure that they're counted. And so we are really focused on the 2020 census count and making sure that everyone in our county and our community are counted. Especially rural communities, people who don't have a mailbox at home, people with children who were just born, people who don't speak English, seniors, veterans. These are all considered hard to count populations. And so since we serve a lot of them in our community and at our sites, we are able to actively communicate directly with them about why the census is so important. So in addition to the programs that we've kind of changed up because of the coronavirus, we also opened our Unity and Community Fund. So this was a fund that we started in 2019, just after the Kincaid fire, when many of the folks in our community were struggling financially because of the power shutoffs and the evacuation, that people did not have money to pay their rent, pay their bills. And so we were providing direct financial assistance, whether that was a rental payment or helping people with groceries or gift cards for gas, so they could get back to work. So we reopened that fund in March. We've raised $590,000. We've received over 1,000 applications for assistance. I think we're at like 1,080 in terms of the number of households who have applied. And we're awarding financial grants anywhere from $100 to $1,500 to people who are struggling financially right now, to help them with a variety of financial needs, but mostly for rent, for groceries, and other kind of necessaries. So that's the information I had to share with you today, and happy to answer any questions you guys might have, or talk deeper about any of these programs. Thank you.
Kelly, or excuse me, Ariel, what's the percentage of families that are not able to get on the internet from home? And do you have any plans or connections, like with Dane Jasper, in terms of getting hotspots and online resources to those families?
So we are working with the school districts to try to figure out, where are the holes in terms of internet connectivity. As you can imagine, for our rural residents, like people who live in Dry Creek Valley or West Side, Alexander Valley, it's a huge struggle because they don't have, Comcast doesn't exist where they live. I mean, maybe some of you guys live in those areas too, so you know what I'm talking about, but there are a number of families, even who live in Healdsburg, who are unable to connect to the internet. We don't have an exact number. We're still actually collecting data and talking to folks, but I know that just for a lot of our adult students who we were working with on transitioning to ESL online, or our computer class online, that they did not have internet in their home in Healdsburg. And so we've been working with Xfinity to get them connected through them, because they already have a pretty robust infrastructure in Healdsburg. But it's definitely, more than 25% of the families for sure either are struggling with internet connectivity, or it's not stable, or they have none at all. And there's some really interesting things behind this. So what we didn't know when we first set up was that, and it's something we all probably take for granted, when you go to apply for a cell phone, when you sign your cell phone contract, it's very similar than when you get your home Wi-Fi. You have to have credit. And if you, in order to get your cell phone contract, and if you don't have credit, then you can get on a prepaid plan. But prepaid plans, similarly to maybe when you've traveled in Europe or traveled abroad, the data rate can be really penalizing. So I don't know if you've ever traveled in Europe and you turn on your cell phone and your email downloads, and oh my gosh, you just got $1,000 cell phone bill in the mail because your data plan just skyrocketed. And so it's very similar, even domestic prepaid plans, when people are using data on their cell phones, it's very expensive. And so things that we take for granted, like opening an app or downloading email or being on Facebook or video conferencing, God forbid video, that's a lot of data. They are unable to do that because their cell phone plan doesn't allow for unlimited data or has a very high rate. So so there's a lot of fear in the community that home Wi-Fi is the same way, which we all know that you don't get charged on the amount of data that you're using on your home Wi-Fi network, but people are very concerned that if they get home Wi-Fi, that, you know, maybe it'll be $10 for the first month, and then, but all of a sudden they'll get this massive bill that they're unable to pay. And so there's actually a ton of fear about utilizing at-home Wi-Fi because of that. So we've had to spend a lot of time explaining the difference between cell phone data plans and home cable internet, and how to make sure that you're not going to be receiving those really high bills, and really, you know, having people put a lot of trust that we're telling the truth. But I would say
if you could
one of the
end
biggest
your
issues.
screen sharing, then we can see who's talking.
Oh, okay. I'm back.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do. Ariel, thank you. That was really informative. And if I have a couple questions, and if I'm asking a question that you've already covered, I apologize. But it's just a lot of things are popping into my head. I'm going to be president of our club in the next year. And one of the things I've been wondering is, how can we blend our communities? And I know you touched a little on how you are helping your population, or the population of Latino in our community, assimilate into ours or familiarize them with the community itself. But how do you see us blending?
I think that's a great question, and one that we, you know, are asked a lot, and one that we ask ourselves a lot. And I think that we've really tried to take bringing the community together and creating kind of cultural or ethnic bridges. Some of the barriers that exist are economic. Some of them are just based on kind of misunderstanding or fear. And so we really take those questions on a case by case, because sometimes there are specific barriers that, you know, in order to come to Rotary, you have to pay dues. And in order to pay those dues, you have to, you know, like some of them, it's a financial thing. But others, it's just that you need to look at what are the different elements that make up those barriers, and are they real? Are they just perceived? And then working to break them down. And so we've done a lot of this work with the city of Healdsburg in making sure that all of the recreation programs that are meant for everyone are for everyone, and looking at, you know, if you have an application to get involved, is it bilingual? Is it just available online, or do you have printed flyers, since a lot of families aren't going online? And so we've worked with a lot of different organizations to instead of looking at the model of like, this is what we're trying to deliver to the community, kind of help them look through the lens of, this is how the community might perceive your program or what you're trying to deliver, and helping people get a better understanding of and asking our residents, our comité, is we use, you know, as our sounding board to say, hey, have you guys heard of the Rotary Duck Dash? And what do you think about it? And, you know, do you go? And how could it improve? And so we're not, as like our staff, we're not saying, you know, this is what needs to happen, but really asking the community, what do you think about it? And how could it be, you know, better received? And so I think there's a lot of great opportunities to continue to build those bridges and bring people together. And I think for some, there's some groups or some events or other aspects of the community, there's a stronger willingness than others to really try to be more accessible. So we love having those conversations with folks. And sometimes it's like, we had a great conversation with Kiwanis about their safety fair and wanting to make the safety fair more accessible. And so what started off as a conversation for them approaching Corazon and saying, hey, can you translate our flyer? And we said, sure, we'd be happy to translate the flyer, but tell me about your safety fair. And they're like, well, it's so fun, and there's all these stations, and you go from station to station, and you can get a free bike helmet, and you learn how to use a fire extinguisher. And I said, great, are all of those stations bilingual? So if I give someone a flyer in Spanish, so they assume that if they are a Spanish speaker, they can come to this event. When they show up and they go from station to station, will they feel like this is really for them? Because if not, let's not translate the flyer, because it's sending an incorrect signal to people that when they come, they will be able to get that fire extinguisher safety demo in Spanish. And so we had a frank conversation about it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It was just, we've never thought about that people might come if we put it in Spanish and they might not speak English. And if they do, are we ready to receive them? And so we helped them get bilingual volunteers who could help staff each of those tables, or to say to the fire department, hey, when you guys are doing that demo, can you make sure to send someone who's bilingual so that everyone can understand what, the information you're presenting. And it wasn't, this insurmountable obstacle, but it was like an aha, like, oh shoot, we didn't think if we marketed it in Spanish, people who speak Spanish might come. And what do we do when they get here?
Those are great points. And I'll probably follow up with you or one of your managers. I met Elizabeth Perez not too long ago, and she was just delightful and enthusiastic. And one other question I have is, what is the percentage of our population that is Latino here in Healdsburg? I know we have like 12,000, at least on that board when you drive in, 11,711. It's like a great number for craps. But,
totally. Yeah. So Healdsburg's population, I mean, Dave, you might have a better sense than I do, but I think it's around 12,000 residents. And but based on census data, just under 1/3 are Latino. But what we do know is that more than 60% of the youth in Healdsburg Unified are Latino, and are Sonoma County wide, more than 50% of youth 0 to 18 are Latino. So we have a very young and large Latino population, and those demographics of when those kids become adults and what our workforce looks like in a decade and what our aging population looks like going forward, it's going to be it's very interesting, and it's something that we watch really carefully. It's also, we probably know that it's actually not statistically accurate because Latinos and immigrants tend to be undercounted in census data. So that while we know that 1/3 of Healdsburg residents are Latino, and we know that over 60% of our school population are Latino, it could be much higher based on undercounts of census data for the general population. Lance, if you're talking, you are muted.
So yeah, I muted everyone. So if you've got a question, make sure to unmute yourself.
The space bar.
Okay. Hi, Ariel. This is Dan.
Hi.
Nice
Sorry, I was looking at
presentation.
Larry because he raised his hand too. Hi. Great to see you.
I have a nice presentation. I'm curious about the, if you have any idea about the percentage of your clients who, have been lost jobs, during this COVID crisis. I'm assuming that many have, because the tourism industry has been hit so hard here. And is there any sense for going forward, how, kind of assistance, because many people may be affected for a long time, as this sort of takes a long time to sort of resolve itself. I'm just curious what the organization is thinking about and how your programming might change or be affected by that effort.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something that we're grappling with daily. So we do know that a number of people, just based on unemployment statistics alone, we know that a ton of people are without work right now, whether that's temporary or permanent. I think a lot of people are still waiting to find out. I think a lot of employers are waiting to find out if the layoffs that they've made are temporary or permanent based on allowed to reopen and what that looks like. So there's just a ton of unknowns right now. We have received financial need applications, as I mentioned, from over 1,000 households across Sonoma County, specifically majority or northern county. And what we do see in especially post-disaster is that the population of who is in need definitely skews way more Anglo than who we work with typically. So normally our client base, I would say in most of our programming, especially in our adult education programming that's geared more towards first generation immigrant families, is about 90% Latino. Even though our first gen program, our kinder to college program, they're much more balanced in terms of ethnicity. But post disaster, especially after the Kincaid fire, we were seeing, very high need and high attendance in our groceries to go program from Anglo families, from Native American families. So the demographics definitely become much more diverse because, as disasters, they don't care what neighborhood you live in or, what industry you work in, that it's actually, much more widespread. So we're seeing applications for financial assistance from households that make over $80,000 a year, over $100,000 a year, where both parents have lost their jobs or been laid off, are both income earners. And so it's wineries, it's production, manufacturing, it's all the, hospitality jobs, restaurant jobs, especially hotels. So people across a variety of different industries. And I think the way we're approaching it now, we know is really a Band-Aid solution. We're giving people money so they can stay housed and stay, to meet their basic needs. But I think going forward, we're looking at what are some different workforce education opportunities if people are going to be out of work for a while. What are some of the education programs that we can be doing with adults to help them retool their skills, to help them grow their skills, whether that's on computers or English fluency, adult care attendance. People, our aging population is always going to need in-home assistance for people to be able to age in place. So what are different training programs that exist that we could be bringing to Healdsburg going forward so that maybe our workforce who's struggling right now, who's at home, can take advantage of some educational opportunities so when they are able to go back to work, they have a broader set of skills that make them more marketable than the skills that they currently possess. And we're able to do that. We did that after the Tubbs fire. We did an extensive English program. We partnered with a bunch of other agencies across Sonoma County to get had never worked in construction ready to get into construction jobs. So the first step was people who had kind of a minimal level of English fluency, getting them put into an intensive immersion program, 5 days a week, learning English for 5 months, that then once they graduated from, they were able to go into a construction trades program to start getting ready to be in the construction industry, since we knew that then and now is still a really big need. So it's like looking at what are the jobs that are needed for this community going forward, and then figuring out what are some different training programs we can bring to help people kind of catapult in that direction.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that? My housekeeper and I had a long conversation about her work and all of the people that she knows. And a lot of Anglos are afraid to have their housekeepers come back. There's been a lot of exposure to the Latino community, so people are concerned that they're bringing it into their homes. It would seem that a way to go to Nancy's point about integration, being able to have a conversation with both people who hire housekeepers and people who serve, to come up with procedures by which people could feel a little more comfortable keeping that employment line still going.
Yeah, I think that brings up a really good point. I don't know if you early risers have had a chance to see the cover of today's Press Democrat, but what we've been seeing across the country, and unfortunately what is now very true for us locally based on the data that the county is finally sharing out, is that the Hispanic Latino population of Sonoma County has been hit incredibly hard by the coronavirus. And we have across Sonoma County, about 27% of Sonoma County is Latino, but of the reported COVID cases, 59% of them are Latino or Hispanic residents, as opposed to the Anglo population being 64% of Sonoma County and only accounting for 32% of the positive cases. So we're seeing a much higher instance of positive cases in the Latino community that I don't think has really been reported on yet or discussed. And I think the reason for that is because people are needing to be out, needing to work to sustain their families, not wanting to lose their jobs, being in more frontline positions. We also have a much higher rate of retirees in the Anglo community than in the Latino community. So when you're retired, you obviously don't have to go to work every day, which is awesome. So I think we're doing a lot to educate our clients in English and in Spanish about how to protect yourself from coronavirus. There is not a lot of information out there, especially in Spanish, about all of the things that you guys may know: how to keep high-touch surfaces clean, how to wear a mask properly, why are we wearing masks, what is social distancing, do you have to social distance when you're inside, and how do you, when you come home from work, what are the safe ways to keep your family protected? So creating a routine where you're taking your clothes off. Don't shake clothes that you wore from work. You can put them right into the wash your clothes at a certain temperature. All of those things that are just completely unknown in the community. And so we're doing a lot to educate folks about that. But I do think going back to work as we reopen and what that looks like in a safe way is the biggest conversation that people can be having right now, especially employers, because people want to go back to work. They're really struggling financially. And so they want to go back to work if it's safe. And I think we all could be really, could come together in a way where we can say, these are the ways to keep our homes safe, to keep you safe, to keep our community safe, and to do more to kind of create some public education around that. Yes, the county's putting out information and the CDC is, but I think to bring it more and to say, hey, here are the ways that I want to make sure you are staying safe, and set up some protocols, like whether that's taking shoes off before you come into the house, whether that's taking off your jacket or changing clothes. But what we have seen is like really the highest transmission is face-to-face indoor contact for prolonged periods of time. And I think what we're looking at is it's not as much community spread in the Latino community. It is the home situation that most of our clients live in, where they're living with more people in their household and more intergenerational household members. So if one person is sick and they bring the virus home, they might be living with 8 people. So all of a sudden those 8 people are now sick, whereas in a different family, maybe they have less people living in the household. But I think that those conversations are really important to be having, and we're trying to convene them for our clients and creating opportunities for people to share on social media. Send us a photo of you wearing your mask and your family, and what are you doing today, for your mental health and your physical health. But I think also for employers like yourself and talking to your cleaning person in your home, ask if she's protecting herself or her family. I think it's a great conversation to have. And same thing with when the fires happened. A lot of people in our community had never created an evacuation plan, had never created how to your fire kit, your fire safety kit, or your 5-minute plan. So these are new conversations that a lot of us are having because we've never been in a pandemic before. And hopefully we won't be again, knock on wood. So I think it's great to take this opportunity to educate everyone, and especially those who might not have, readily accessible internet to get to the CDC website or reading county data.
I think we've got time
Ariel.
for one more question.
Oh, unless someone else has one. I don't want to hog the mic here. Does anyone else have one? Well, then I'll ask. Ariel, how can we as adults mentor other adults? You were talking about job training and moving them to a new place where they can do something different. We have a lot of people with a lot of different backgrounds in our club. Any ideas?
I think that's a great question. And I think just even asking the question and saying that you're interested or open for that opportunity really opens the door. We're still working through what that can look and feel like, but I know for a lot of our students, especially those who are kind of transitioning out of our adult education program, so like they have their English fluency down, they just got their GED, and they're trying to figure out, what do they want to do next, to be able to introduce them to other professionals in the community, that they can say, these are my skills, this is what I want to do, but I don't really know what that equates to in terms of a career. We would love to have the opportunity to create some mentorship, some buddies out there, because as you can imagine, for some of the folks in our programs, they don't have a huge network of people that they can go to and say, hey, you're a college graduate, tell me what your career path was like. And so to be able to open some of those doors, I think it also breaks down some of those social barriers that you talked about, but it also just is a great way, I think, to give the information that you possess, in your head, to share. And I don't think we really have the right platform created for that quite yet. We haven't established something that would be an easy thing to plug into for professionals, but I really hope that it is something we're able to do. One of the things that we've talked about designing is like an entrepreneurship pilot, since a lot of our clients are solo entrepreneurs that are looking to scale and grow their business and have never, they need to hire on someone as their second employee. They want to grow, but they don't have a lot of awareness about accessing loans or accessing, some of the payroll or HR solutions that they might need to just take that big first step. And so I think especially for people who've started small businesses and been successful or grown small businesses into large businesses, I think those are definitely conversations we want to have in terms of like peer-to-peer or business mentorship for our entrepreneurs. And I think will be really instrumental in our economic recovery, because clearly we're going to need to help expand, the businesses that are here now that want to grow, as opposed to trying to attract, some shiny new business to come to our community. I don't think a lot of organizations are looking to make those kinds of moves right now. But those who are here and who are already interested in growing their idea, I think we want to really try to invest in those organizations and help, whether that's financially, whether that's through mentorship and skill building. But I think that's definitely a great strategy for economic development that we haven't really put a lot of energy towards.
Well, thank you so much for spending your morning with us, Ariel. Really appreciate the presentation and answering all the questions.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really wonderful to see you all, and I so appreciate the invitation. Would love to come back anytime. I love your spirit fingers. So enjoy your morning. It's 8 o'clock.
Very good. Mark, I didn't want to necessarily put you on the spot since I didn't give you any warning, but do you want to say anything about the teacher appreciation event?
Well, I think the teacher appreciation event went remarkably well last week. I think it was a great event. Following the presentation last week, Will Seppi helped me deliver the certificates and checks and all, and so I had a chance to meet 3 of the 5 recipients face to face, and that was very nice. And I think what I learned was just talking with them, they really appreciate the recognition, and I think everyone really, and the teachers themselves and their families and friends really enjoyed the event, and it's much appreciated. And I'm so glad we have this event to recognize these teachers who make a great contribution to our community and to our future.
Great. Yeah, I think they really did. They always do really appreciate it. And I think we also got coverage in the Healdsburg Tribune, right?
Yes, Chris can speak to that a little better, but I did see prior to the event, I saw that there was a press release to the Tribune.
Chris, do you know? You may be muted. I think I did see someone posted it online, so I know there was at least some coverage of that, which was great. All right, Archie, do we have any people to recognize? And you're muted as well.
There it is. Okay. In order to get you guys to pay attention to other people a little bit, I went through Facebook and looked at a few things from our members. So I'm going to ask some members, what was the last wine that Diane Booker featured on her webpage or her page? Larry, do you have an answer for that? You unmute yourself.
Well, this is one of the Larrys. I have no idea.
Okay. You have no idea? Okay, we'll try the other Larry.
Well, I'm certainly getting Diane's notices, and I appreciate them, but I don't know what the latest one was.
Well, for your information.
Well, Diane doesn't know what it is either, to be honest with you.
I know that you or John shared a rainy Chardonnay just recently.
Yeah. Oh, that was Mother's Day. That was a beautiful bottle of wine.
Well, the one I saw was a Dutcher Creek Crossing 2017 Russian River.
Oh.
Okay. And so I think that we ought to charge the 2 Larrys $5 each for not knowing what's on their friend's webpage. And then Ted Calvert. Who is Bo Simmons? Is Ted with us today?
I don't think Ted is with us today.
Okay, well, I'll get him next week. And all of you, whoever wants
I can tell you who Bo is.
Who is Bo?
Do I get bonus points for this?
Sure, you get to pay for not too much.
It's Bo Simons. And Bo Simons, actually, he was one of the first people on the board of directors for Reach for Home when I first started the agency. So he was that. He is also worked at the library for many years, and he was in charge of the wine library. And he also works on the literary with Ted, with the Literary Guild. So he's got a variety of hats he wears in our community. So, and he's retired, and he just got married to Becky with the good hair.
Bo is also an honorary Noon Club Rotarian.
Cool.
I was in Rotary with Bo for many years, and we used to have a chili cook-off associated with the Future Farmers Fair. And one year our entry was Blazing Saddles.
Nice.
And Bo, oh, and then another year, yeah, that was the year, it was Blazing Saddles and Bo and a lot of the guys dressed up like pioneer women. And it was a pretty fun event. And then another year it was Some Like It Hot. And once again, our members dressed accordingly. I mean, you know, the theme of that. Anyway, Bo has been a wonderful, I'd love to get him back into Rotary.
Well, on another page, I saw that Duffy, the Windsor Healdsburg Crematory and Mortuary, donated something really special to the local hospitals. Does anyone know what that was?
My brain goes immediately to very dark places.
Well, give it your best shot, Lance.
Flowers.
Nope. So that we'll let you pay $5 for not knowing, not looking at your friends. Doug, do you have any idea? You have to unmute yourself.
I have no idea.
Well, they donated 40 gallons of hand sanitizer. So you guys, you need to look a little bit more. And Dan, who is the lady that's being featured on Sonoma Feast newspaper today in the Press Democrat? Unmute yourself, buddy.
I'm going to unmute everyone. All right.
Okay, I haven't seen the paper yet today, Archie. So I'm guessing Sonia put in a recipe.
Well, they've got a full-blown picture of her, very highly featured, right on the cover of the magazine. And
kidding.
She's talking.
Nice.
What?
Nice.
And she's talking about garlic lemon tuna sauce.
Really?
Yes. Now, how much is that worth to you, Dan?
Well, I don't know. I tell you what, I'll put some money towards the endowment part of the foundation, our local foundation.
Okay. Well, thank you.
So I'll send Terry a check.
All right. We'll trust you to do that. For the rest of you, I'm going to encourage you to look on Facebook at your local members to see what they're posting, because you never know. You might get another question next week. Thanks, Lance.
You know,
Thanks,
Edward McCutcheon had a great idea, and we need to think about doing this, is everybody should send photos or videos of what they have been doing while they're under quarantine or whatever we are, shelter in place. Because it'd be fun to see how we are spending our time at home and what projects we've accomplished. You can send pictures of your clean closet, you know, whatever.
Is there a link between shelter in place, which is SIP, and sipping wine?
I don't know, but the local wineries have been using Sip Sonoma as their hashtag for a while, and I think that's a good double entendre right now.
Using your big vocabulary this morning, I see.
Brad, you're going to have to unmute yourself if you want to be heard.
You know, that could be a new form of fining, is not unmuting yourself.
I think Brad's having audio-video problems. But he's been sending me some texts, so.
Press your space bar, Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
Press the space bar.
We can see you talking, but we can't hear your words.
He's going to hold up a sign that has a swear word on it in about 2 seconds.
Or
he's been texting me that he's having issues with this. Terry, do you think you could say anything about where we're at with some of the programs we've been doing? Do you have those numbers at hand?
Well,
kind of at hand. We've got, of course, the support for the Cousteau Needs Bread program that the club membership is participating in. We've got 3 anonymous members that have offered to match up to $1,500 of membership donations. And so far, the membership donations is, I believe, $995. So it would be great if we could get another $500 from our general membership to get all those funds offered by the match. In addition to that, of course, we're supporting the Healdsburg Food Pantry with our monthly donations of $40 per member. And I don't recall offhand what that total is now, but it's I believe close to $2,000 that we've accumulated. So,
right.
So we're doing good to support programs.
Yeah, I think that $40 per month per person breakfast fees, that's going to be adding up pretty quickly. That ends up being a fairly substantial donation. And then, of course, we just got the district, because they canceled so many of their events, they had a bunch of extra money. And so every single club got $500 from the district to apply to something COVID related. And the board decided that we would give that to Reach for Home. So pulling that 500 with their direct outreach with food and with care to the people who are probably most at risk from the situation.
Thank you, everybody. That was great.
Andy or Larry Orr, do you want to say anything about what we're doing next week?
Sure, a couple of comments. We are going to be recognizing and announcing the winners of the club scholarships. And hopefully we will have some or all of the awardees join us on our Zoom meeting next week, starting at 7:00 a.m.
Perfect. I think it'll be really fun to still be able to get that interaction with the students that we're supporting and see the direct impacts of the things that we're doing. So I think let's see. Thank you, Tom, for joining us. We appreciate that. We're gonna make sure
for having me.
pull you firmly into the club, but it's really great to see your face here each morning on the Zoom calls. And of course, thanks to Ariel, who I think has already dropped off, but for talking to us about what Corazon's doing. And clearly the mission of a lot of these organizations is even more critical now than it has been in the past. And let me share a parting thought for you.
Lance, before you do that,
yes.
David, was David going to say something today, or is he just joining us to see our smiling faces? Our city councilman.
That's right, I missed him. Is he still on?
He is.
Yes,
still here. I'm trying the space bar trick right now. It looks like it's working.
It's a test. We wanted to see if you passed it.
No, it is nice to come on and see everybody's smiling faces. Colleen, it's hard not seeing you in person, with all the work that you do. And Jay, last time I saw you was at that fundraiser for the kids. Which one was it? I forgot what it was. But it was right before all of this happened. It was like one thing after another and another. But appreciate everybody letting me sit in and listen. And I think we're talking about maybe I'll come in and give an update on the Healdsburg Recovery Task Force one of these mornings.
When you do that, I have a request.
Yeah.
Can you please wear that jacket you wore over the holidays?
Hold on.
Oh, this is really good. Yeah.
Oh, my phone's leaving. Virtual drum roll.
It's beautiful.
Close to hand, that says something, right?
Oh, wow. Well, we'll have to all dress up that day.
So this is the one I bought for a St. Patrick's Day parade, and then that parade got canceled. But this is my my fundraising jacket. I wear that when I have to do something official-ish and need to raise money. But yeah, I can put that on.
Like DJ at the Duck Walk. He was the Duck Dash DJ.
I'm chasing my kids at the Duck Dash.
Are there any other final thoughts from anyone or announcements? All right, if not, then stay safe. Things are starting to open up, so continue to be careful. Go forth and Rotary the heck out of your week.